It's 19 hours GMT. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Joy News Prime. We are coming to you from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125, and around the world, we are on myjoyonline.com. My name is Carlos Kaloni.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, the National Democratic Congress to present Baba Jamal as its parliamentary candidate for the Ayawaso East By-election, despite allegations of vote buying that emerged during the party's parliamentary primaries.
Also, government to summon all metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives in mining areas following Joy News' expose, a tax for Galamsey, which highlights how the Amancia District Assembly is taxing illegal miners.
Some fan tax and all living are things that are happening in these Galamsey related areas. If it was being done and you have come, is it good that we should allow it to be there?
We have details, plus hear from the Amancia Central District Assembly, who has rejected allegations of extortion linked to illegal mining, insisting that the fees charged on earth-moving equipment are lawful and will remain in place until its bylaws are amended.
Also tonight, Speaker of Parliament directs Business Committee to schedule two controversial bills, the Anti-Gay Bill and the Dual Citizenship Bill, for laying before the House for consideration.
This is Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism.
It's a good time to take a seat and please be our guest.
Tonight, government is set to summon all metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives in mining areas following Joy News' explosive investigation at tax for Galamsey. The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, who gave the hint, says the ministry will also probe the activities of the Amancia Central District Chief Executive and other members of the alleged syndicate implicated in the expose. His comment followed a petition submitted by Joy News to the presidency earlier today, together with a copy of the undercover A Tax for Galamsey documentary, calling for a decisive action against individuals fingered in the investigation, which highlight how the district assembly is allegedly taxing illegal miners. We'll hear from Ahmed Ibrahim shortly, but first, here are excerpts from that documentary.
According to the Forestry Commission, 44 out of 288 forest reserves have been invaded and harmed. Beneath the crisis are acts of bribery and corruption, illegal payments, extortion, sanctioned by those elected and appointed to protect our resources. Our investigation began as whispers of an organized extortion scheme kept resurfacing, with stories shared quietly among miners who speak only in cautious tones. The fragmented accounts pointed towards a task force allegedly operating under the authority of the district chief executive of Amancia Central, Emmanuel Obeng Ajeman. According to the patterns we observed, miners were said to be paying 3,000 Ghana cedis for every Chanfan machine, one leg as it is termed, while others pay 30,000 Ghana cedis and more for every excavator in usage. Our investigation also uncovered receipts and warrant stickers being issued to guarantee uninterrupted illegal operations when payments were made.
The whole decision, police for and those are more years more for less than and the woman that will miss it. Says, 700. so don't get me. So you can wire the money and no idea. And attack and show our body from fast with
These allegations demanded the deeper inquiry, but our strongest evidence came from a recorded phone call with the district chief executive. In the tape, he confirms that the task force collects monies and that it operates under his instructions.
Assembly may as DC, Mama na Sakonya na so onkonkoye. Ona we mining desk officer. It is a Akonya tin o si yan na enye dia fine ye ka ho asem. E na meka jo say the benya o raise complaints here. O start ejuma we almost 1 month ni on one leg ni. Miners are on your encounter. Ah, my friend, no, I'm 20. I'm friend in count. Oh, be our friend, be anyone, may my people in their friend, Malam, make a say, and then Kokasa. They are money 2 minutes on.
It is at this point that we confirm the cash payment in exchange for Galamsey.
Well, the Ayawaso Central District Assembly has since rejected allegations of extortion linked to illegal mining, insisting that the fees charged on earth-moving equipment are lawful and will remain in place until its bylaws are amended. In a statement responding to Joy News' undercover investigation, the Assembly said the fees collections date back to 2008 actually, and spanned multiple political administration, adding that the current administration simply inherited the arrangement. We have teased out portions of that statement that they put out earlier, and it's coming up on your screens now, just detailing their stance on the back of that. We've also been engaging the local government minister. We told you earlier that Joy News today submitted a petition to government to look into the allegations that have come up as a result of the airing of that documentary. We've also heard from the Assembly. They claim that they have legal backing to actually charge some of these fees. And so it's coming up on your screens right now. And we also have the assurance of the local government minister that they are looking into this. And that's on your screens right now. The argument presented by the Assembly after we put out our documentary, Attacks for Galamsey. Now, it's a 2-page document. It's on myjoyonline.com, but we have teased some of the key arguments that they table in that statement. They say that revenue collection from earth-moving equipment did not begin under the current administration. Collections were recorded in the year 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020, 2023, and 2024. They go on to state that revenue collection is grounded in an Assembly bylaw passed in the year 2008. They state that no individual in the current administration introduced this framework. It is inherited according to the statement. Now, they state that what is happening is the implementation of existing laws. Individuals referred to as read in our documentary is a recognized Assembly Revenue Collection Officer, they state, and has served under multiple administrations. They state that all monies collected were paid to the Assembly's official account at Odotobri Rural Bank, supported by official receipts and deposit slips. Claims of diversion or privately keeping these funds, they state, are false. They state that revenue used by the Assembly have been used really for critical operational needs, and they go on to state what these needs are. They state that the Assembly remains firmly opposed to illegal mining and fight against Galamsey is unchanged and uncompromising, according to their statement. And they state that revenue mobilization authority comes from local governance laws. That's the argument they put out today after our documentary was aired. But we've also been engaging the lands minister, who has assured that immediately they would summon all the MMDCs as they look into the findings of our documentary.
But clearly, it is good Joy News or Joy FM will carry upon this research and approaches. We are going to go up before the CEO for Gold Board and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources were asking for these MMDCs in Galamsey or mining related area to see how best we can address one of those issues to make sure that it becomes 10 of the past. So it's good this has come. And once again, this is going to be an added thing. But we cannot win this fight without you. So this is a joint fight we are all going to embark upon. But clearly, there is something that has to be worked on. I'm somebody who doesn't want sharing responsibility. I face responsibilities. This Shamfan tax and all living are things that are happening in these Galamsey related areas before we came to power. Now we are in power. Now you are the municipal or district chief executive. What steps are you taking? If it was being done and you have come, is it good that we should allow it to be there? But I as a local government minister didn't know that it was part of the local internally generated fund. But now that you have brought it, it's going to be one of the matters that is going to be addressed.
Well, away from that, the National Democratic Congress says that the party will proceed with Mohammed Baba Jamal as its candidate for the upcoming Ayawaso East by-election, despite unresolved allegations of vote buying in the party's recent parliamentary primary. The decision was announced by NDC General Secretary Fiavi Kwete following a meeting of the party's Functional Executive Committee, which convened after receiving a report from a 3-member investigative committee. Addressing journalists, Mr. Kwete said a new 7-member committee has been established to develop sweeping reforms aimed at tackling the issue of vote buying in future party contests. Well, joining us now is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. What considerations went into this particular decision to maintain Baba Jamal as your parliamentary candidate for the upcoming by-election?
Well, good evening and thank you for your cherished listeners. I think that basically, as we indicated some few days back, following the Ayawaso election, we set up a committee and the committee was expected to submit their report. This report was detailed and very professional. One, the committee noted that there was a widespread of goods or items as far as the Ayawaso East by-election is concerned on behalf of candidates. So we may not have seen candidates do it themselves, but it happened. Two, they noted that under normal circumstances, the committee's work was more institutional than individual, which presupposed that we test the integrity of the election. So usually the election would have been annulled. However, in our law as a party, we have combed through our constitution and didn't find any provision to that effect that when circumstances of this nature occur, there's an outright provision for us to rely on. And then number three, the exigencies of time which we find ourselves require that within tomorrow, we should be able to file an NDC candidate. So the practical reality is that time would not allow us to go through all of these procedures and processes. So we have decided to affirm Baba Jamal as the candidate of the party who will be filed tomorrow. All other aspirants and members of the party will be required to rally their support for us to go into that by-election. We have also decided to continue our commitment to address or bring to an end these particular, widespread challenge which the public has complained about, issues of vote buying and possible inducement. So we have expanded the committee from 3 to 7 for them to continue to work on a modality or some regulation that the party would adopt to regulate our elections from now into the future, involving branch elections, constituency elections, up to national elections, parliamentary and presidential elections, so that as far as the NDC is concerned, under most circumstances would we be back to the table being called upon to answer issues regarding possible vote buying and inducement as far as elections are concerned. So that is the decision that we have arrived at this evening.
So until then, Baba Jamal remains a free man?
He is not a free man per se, but he is escaped by circumstances of time. And that I think that, first of all, he's been reprimanded by the presidency, and that we feel that that's enough, even though the committee had suggested that some actions will be taken. If we had annulled the election, he would have been punished again, but due to the time we find ourselves. In fact, we have also noted that going into the future, we would ensure that individuals participating in NDC election would have to necessarily undertake some regulatory frameworks which will not allow them to perpetuate what we call widespread unethical sharing of goods and services, which to the largest extent will possibly induce an election or constitute a crime under our elections.
When is the 7-member committee expected to bring its recommendations for the reform?
In an earnest time, the General Secretary will be issuing a statement detailing their scope and the timing of these committees. But what is very educative and informing is that the NDC this evening still stand boldly committed to addressing the trust concerns that we have with Ghanaians as far as election matters, inducement and vote buying is concerned, by taking these bold steps to ensure that in our regulations, these things are well catered for. We invite other political parties to exhume themselves from what used to be what we all tolerated in the past as a normal culture around politicians, to join us to the table of integrity and credibility, so that for us as political parties, we nip this in the bud for once and for all, for our society to be free, one, to ensure that persons who are constrained with resources are not prevented from elections or rising to become leaders of our country. That is the kind of democracy the NDC want to align in view of the president's resetting agenda.
What do you say finally?
We also indeed recommended that because Baba Jamal have already been reprimanded as a government appointee in accordance with the ethics of the presidency, any other aspirant who is an appointee of government in any capacity, we commended the presidency and also invited the president to reprimand such individuals to ensure that it's fairly and squarely on the part of those candidates who have engaged in that exercise. Thank you so much, Mustafa Gbande, for speaking to us here on Join Us Prime.
That the High Court has dismissed an application filed by lawyers for the former Deputy Director of the National Service Authority, Gift Mensah, seeking a referral to the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation over provisions in the practice directions on disclosure and case management in criminal proceedings. The application followed a directive by the High Court ordering Gift Mensah to file a list of witnesses she intends to call, including their addresses, should she be required to open her defense. The following report has more.
This follows a directive by the court for Gift Mensah to file a list of witnesses she may be minded to call and their addresses in case she is asked to open her defense. Dissatisfied with the order, Gift Mensah, through her lawyers led by Gary Nimako, filed a motion asking the High Court to refer the matter to the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation. She argued that there are inconsistencies between the practice direction on disclosure and case management proceedings 2018 and the 1992 Constitution. Specifically, the defense contended that requiring an accused person to disclose the names and addresses of witnesses at the case management stage violates the presumption of innocence guaranteed under Article 19(2)(c) of the Constitution. The prosecution, led by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mrs. Yvonne Atakura Obuabisa, vehemently opposed the application, arguing that there is no ambiguity in the practice directions and that they do not conflict with the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. Delivering her ruling, the presiding judge, Justice Audrey Kokuvite, held that the applicant failed to demonstrate that any real issue of constitutional interpretation had arisen to warrant a referral to the Supreme Court. The court consequently dismissed the application in its entirety. Following the ruling, counsel for the accused, Gary Nemakomafo, informed the court that the defense would apply for the full written reasons for the decision and advise their client on the next steps. The case is expected to continue on February 18, 2026, when the court will consider the pending motion for a stay of proceedings. For Joy News, Fatal Bayaga, Accra.
Well, President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that an estimated 119 people lost their lives during the violence that erupted amid efforts to mediate the Bawku conflict. He made this known during a courtesy visit by the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, where he expressed concern about the devastating impact of chieftaincy dispute on peace and national cohesion. The president stressed the need for strict adherence to established rules of succession, noting that repeated violations often fuel violence and lead to loss of lives.
The Otumfo Committee was established by my predecessor, Nana Akufo-Addo. And so in his handing over notes, he mentioned to me that he had invited Otumfo to mediate in the conflict. And so as his successor, I was duty-bound to allow that mediation to go on. While the mediation was ongoing, there was violence, killings. It's estimated about 119 people lost their lives in the period of the mediation. But thank God, ultimately, his report came out. And the mediation process was meant to work to find a traditional resolution to the conflict. And the thinking was that we could get the parties to the conflict to, in a traditional manner as was done in the past, find a way to accommodate each other. Unfortunately, I think that didn't happen. And once it didn't happen, then the mediator had no option but to revert to what the law says. And so his report basically, stated what the lawful position was. And I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the Republic of Ghana. And so I cannot be sentimental in terms of implementing the law. And everybody knows what the law states, that the truly gazetted chief of Bawku Naba is Na Abugrabo Azoka. That is what the law says. He is gazetted. And so I cannot have any sentiments in the matter and have somebody who's not gazetted come and say, I am the Bawku Naba too. And so I have to do what I have to do to ensure peace in Bawku. Which is what we've done. The law is the law.
Away from that, landlords, including Tindambas from the Sukbayiris 4 recognized gates, are opposing plans to demolish the Tindamba primary school for a 24-hour economy market. While they support the policy, they say relocating pupils to different schools would strip the school of its identity and history. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Wa.
The 4 recognized gates of the Wala Tindamba Sakwari clan asserted that they have no qualms about the government implementation of the 24-hour economy market. However, they are against where they want to cite it. Collapsing a 70-year-old Tindamba primary school for a 24-hour economy market will mean they are collapsing education for commerce, who they will not buy into, since they know the importance of education and will not sacrifice it. Alhaji Dauda Seidu Tindana is one of the elders of the Wasakwere clan. We are not pushing the market away. However, we want the school more than the market. If you are not educated today, they will come and cheat you at the market. They stated that as landowners and, for that matter, critical and important stakeholder, they were not in any way consulted before arriving at a proposal to demolish the school, share the pupils to schools that have low enrollments and have fewer empty classrooms. We further checked on those mentioned by the World Overlord, and they denied. For us as landlords from Sakwairi, we have not taken any decision with the World Overlord to use the Tindamba primary school land for the 24-hour economy market. The landowners saw the decision by the World Municipal Assembly to demolish the pre-independent school for market as egregious and unpopular. They have fears that any attempt to use the said land for any other purpose rather than education will have negative effect on the over 500 pupils of the school.
As Tindamba, as landowners of the said schools, it is our fear that any attempt to use the said land for any other purpose rather than education will have negative effect on the current pupils, teachers, parents, and the community as a whole.
The landlords threatened to hit the streets if the one municipal assembly, for that matter, the government fails to listen to their plea. If they come to demolish it, whether day or night, we will be there to face them squarely. Reporting for Dway News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
This is the Joy News Prime. We have more stories after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back from the break to other stories now.
Well, across Ghana's historic bread basket, a quiet crisis is taking root as climate change punishes traditional crops with relentless drought. Farmers are making a desperate and lucrative pivot to a single heady tree, the cashew. What began as a smart adaptation has erupted into an uncontrolled agricultural gold rush, converting vast swathes of fertile land into uniform cashew plantations. Now, a stark warning echoes from farmers' fields to the halls of power. In this episode of Climate Evidence, Joy News' Anas Sabit explores the dilemma gripping the Bono East region, where the very crop promising survival may be risking the nation's food sovereignty.
It promises a fortune weathering the climate storm. But is it costing us the food on our tables? In the heart of Ghana's bread basket, a golden crop is forcing a painful choice. In this particular piece, we investigate the cashew dilemma. I am Anas Sabit, and this uniform sea of green on your screens is the new face of farming in what was once our nation's food-producing heartland. The change is driven by a harsh, undeniable reality, punishing droughts and rains that no longer come on time. Faced with failing food crops, farmers are turning to this hardy survivor.
If you have a cashew farm, let's say the cashew season is certain, you become a big man. The cash flow, yes, is the money that gave me motivation to enter into the cashew farming.
The data confirms the crisis. Research here shows over 97% of farmers are aware of climate change, with a majority finding traditional staples like yam and maize increasingly vulnerable. Cashew isn't just a crop for many, it's become the only viable adaptation. I used to have cassava farm, then later I blended it with cashew, but today the cassava is not able to survive due to the state of the cashew. Ecologically, this mass monoculture is a time bomb. It reduces biodiversity, destroys pollinator habitats, and degrades soil health. Osman Young, the area officer with the Environmental Protection Agency, says the situation makes the land more vulnerable to climate impacts like pests and erosion.
Once we are destroying our biodiversity and converting those lands into cashew plantation, which is just monocrops, what that also means is that the benefits of carbon sequestration that we get from our biodiversity will reduce. So what I will urge going forward is cashew-based agroforestry.
Authorities here are now sounding the alarm. Regional Director of Agriculture, James Edu, has this to say.
Instead of concentrating on land expansion, we should concentrate on yield per acre. So if we are able to increase yield per acre, you'll be able to get the yield we want.
The message from farmers, chiefs, ministers, and environmentalists is unified. Unchecked monoculture is a recipe for crisis. The sustainable future lies in balance and landscapes that provide both.
Away from that, angry residents of Salamba in the northern region have stormed the Ghana Water Company offices demanding an end to months-long water crisis. They say the dry taps are worsening daily struggles, particularly with Ramadan approaching and temperatures soaring. The following report has more.
Residents of Salamba in the Tamale metropolis are up in arms over the worsening water crisis in their area. With drums, buckets, gallons, among others, they besieged the Ghana Water Company Limited this morning protesting. They said they have not had water in their area for the past 4 years. The residents said the situation is getting desperate, especially with Ramadan around the corner. They said they struggle each day when it comes to water. They are asking the Ghana Water Company Limited to fix the situation. They also allege that staff of the Ghana Water Company owe water tankers to sell water, reasons they keep locking the pipes.
We are not able to get intimate with our husbands due to the water crisis. Our children no longer go to school. Water does not flow from our taps, but they sell water from their tankers. We are all human beings and this is not fair. For several months now, we cannot remember the last time we got water from our taps.
They said they would react, but we will come back if they don't. For years, they have not given us water, but they come to read our meters and serve us bills. They should not do that again if we won't get water.
The Ghana Water Company Limited at the time of this report were in a crunch meeting. The chief manager of the company, Stephen Amehe-Mensah, said Salamba and its environment has always been a concern. He's been responding to the issues raised.
What came to Salamba has been a problem for Ghana Water. The reason is the quantity of water we produce from Ghana. You will agree with me that now most people in Tamale are moving towards the Bawku area. It's just because of the water. So you see that as the years go by, more people will move towards where there's water. So when the water is even being rationed and you are at the tail end of the distribution system, the people who are upstream will drop. That's why it's very important that we make people using inline pumps in their houses. When they will draw the water, even if they draw all the water from the system, it will be very difficult for the water to reach high areas like Tissue and Salamba. Like I explained, you get to know that most of the parts that are not getting water are the high areas. Last week, we were able to supply Kapohini in this environment. Why not Salamba and Tissue? So we shall go on the ground. You know, one another will say that there was a valve that had been buried by road construction. So we have formed a team. We go to site with them, walk the lines. For such allegations, it has been there. In fact, I have been alleged to be owing water tankers that I sell water because of this allegation and some others. But MD had to blank all the hydrants in the country, in particular Tamale. The same people had to go a petition and beg the MD to restore the hydrant operations.
Well, the Northern Region Police Commander, DCOP Wisdom Lavoy, says armed robbers are shifting tactics from highway robbery to kidnapping, as police efforts have made it harder for them to operate. Speaking in Tamale, he noted that robbery cases have decreased significantly, making their work more effective. Lavoy was speaking at a training event for CIDs, where he assured the public of continued efforts to keep the region safer.
The police in the Northern Region are stepping up efforts to tackle crime with new training programs aimed at boosting investigative skills. The training addressing the decline in criminal investigations will equip the police CID officers with techniques to improve their work. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the program, the Northern Regional Police Commander, DCOP Wisdom Lavoy, said criminals are adapting new techniques in their criminal activities.
The recent development in criminal investigations requires that our men should be abreast with, technological advancement or equipment, or they should be abreast with technologies. Because day in, day out, the criminals are also devising methods that they will outwit the security forces. For that matter, it requires that we should also, have methods or adopt strategies to be ahead of them. How do we go about it? That is where you see a seminar like this, trying to, inculcate into the personnel the new trends and what is required of them.
He noted that the police are putting in measures to counter these activities.
We try to engage stakeholders, facilitators, those who we think have the requisite knowledge to come and educate them on the trend and the new development. Myself being here to tell them what is actually trending, which has to do with highway armed robbery on the road. They are using sophisticated weapons. We also have to make sure that we patrol day and night. We deploy drones on the road. And we should have protective vehicles, armored vehicles on the road. Those going for specific duties use, these bulletproof vehicles.
The Northern Regional Crime Officer, Superintendent George Apia Sachi, said there was the need to learn better ways of investigations.
If anything lacks in investigation, it is time. With every passing hour, evidence slips, scenes are contaminated, memories fade. Therefore, we are here this morning to unlearn of flaws in criminal investigations and learn better ways of conducting investigations.
Well, away from that, the University of Cape Coast has officially launched the African Oceans Institute, a strategic move to strengthen Ghana's role in sustainable ocean and coastal development across the continent. The establishment comes after approval from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. Acting Vice-Chancellor Professor Dennis Wolanyo Aheto says the institute will advance research on the marine and coastal environment and support Africa's blue economy ambitions. There's more in the following report.
The establishment of the Africa Oceans Institute at the University of Cape Coast marks a strategic academic and policy initiative aimed at strengthening Ghana's leadership in ocean and coastal knowledge, governance and sustainable development across Africa. At a press conference to formally announce the move, the acting Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Dennis Wolanyo Aheto, said the institute will enhance the country's efforts to sustainably manage coastal and marine resources while advancing regional and continental development agendas.
The Africa Ocean Institute under the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences has been established to respond to challenges by providing a coherent and interdisciplinary platform that seeks to connect research, capacity building, and policy engagement with development priorities related to our marine resources. The AOI will therefore serve as both a national and a continental hub for ocean research, policy, governance, and training to contribute to the development of Mother Ghana and the continent of Africa as a whole. Why the University of Cape Coast? The University of Cape Coast is uniquely positioned to host this institute. As one of the world's prime seafront universities, UCC has decades-long tradition of excellence in marine and coastal studies. This newly established institute builds on that legacy, creating an opportunity to advance Ghana's blue economy, strengthen coastal resilience, and elevate Africa's voice in global ocean governance. AOI, therefore, consolidates and builds on existing strengths rather than starting from scratch, while elevating them into a unified institutional framework with continental reach.
He added that steps are already underway to operationalize the Institute's partnerships and programs, with an official launch of new developments expected later this year.
Today's press statement or press engagement is an announcement of its establishment, marking the formal institutional recognition of AOI within the University of Cape Coast. In the coming months, the Institute will progressively operationalize its governance arrangements, partnerships, programs, and funding pathways. We will communicate these developments as they mature, starting with an official launch later this year in Accra.
The head of the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences at the university, Professor Joseph Agri-Finn, also highlighted the institute's importance in promoting aquaculture.
The opportunities are enormous. We want to also promote aquaculture. Aquaculture is about what? Water. We don't rely on the capture fishery so that we can reduce the pressure on the capture fishery. We all know that the small pelagics are reducing. And it's for a reason. And it's for a reason that these illegalities at IUU are becoming very rampant.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lissel and Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Well, Showbiz is up next. Stay with us.
Well, it's time now for Showbiz, and Becky Bex is in the studio. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Fosti. It's a rainy evening, and I am in the mood to bring you Showbiz here. Yeah, I am.
To bring us Showbiz.
Showbiz here on Joy News Prime. Let's talk about EL, because he has sparked conversations in the music industry after cautioning emerging musicians against rushing into record deals, warning that blindly signing contracts with record labels can have lasting consequences. He spoke to Dr. Pounds on Hit FM.
Charlie, some people no get hard to. But anyway, go on.
Dealing with the record label, yeah. Charlie, how is it like for your experience before I ask for advice?
It's savage. I wouldn't advise anybody to go and.
You're advising now.
I wouldn't advise anybody.
You know, talk about some experience before you come to the advice.
No, my personal experience. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been in a situation. It's part of the reason why I went quiet for a while, because I was in a situation where I had to detangle myself and come out of it on the other side safely, because I realized that, Charlie, I took a big misstep by signing some things, and then down the line, it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. So I wouldn't advise anybody to blindly go and sign a record deal without having the proper representation, without having the proper paperwork done, without having the proper probe into what they are actually putting in front of you. It could get really, really, really sticky if you're not careful.
You got too worried at a point.
Yeah, it got, Charlie, it came to a point whereby I wasn't able to release the music that I wanted, because there were so many conflicts and clashes coming about. You see that? So be careful, Charlie. There are sharks out there who just want to trap you and exploit your music, and then just leave you out to dry. So be careful.
This evening on Prime Movie Box, Ghanaian theatre producer Fifi Coleman is set to bring a classic piece of the country's cinematic history to the stage with a live adaptation of the legendary film I Told You So. Decades after it captured the hearts of Ghanaian audiences, I Told You So is getting a new lease on life come March. Here is all we know. Because, legendary J.W. Ambule is in there, and it's something that you don't want to miss. It's coming off on the 6th of March, 7th, 8th of March. Also, we get a lot more stories on myjoyonline.com/the arts and entertainment or arts and culture page. Firstly, we have it. Do we have that, Derek? Put it on. Yeah, there are so many stories there that you can look out for. There's one with why Ghana should declare February 4 as National Fugu Day. There's something on Omotola as well. And when you go down there, there's a lot more stories that you find on myjoyonline.com/arts and culture. Fossey, do you even go on myjoyonline.com?
Of course I do.
I know you always go on the homepage, but I'm talking about the
entertainment page.
Yeah, you do?
Of course I do. Okay. Because of you. I love you.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's our wrap up, Joy News Prime. We appreciate your time and your company. Have a pleasant evening. Though it's rainy, have a beautiful
please stay
evening.
safe as well. They have to stay safe. It's raining.
Indeed.
And so just stay safe. If you can't drive in the rain, just park. No, maybe you shouldn't just drive.
Okay, let's
just
go.
Park.
The Lord be with you. Bye-bye.
Praise the Lord. Thank you.